Running down the street at midnight, feeling like I'm finally alive. Running down the street at midnight, yeah, tonight we come alive. No more looking back at the shadows. I'm ready for the sun to rise. No more looking back at the shadows. Watch us light up all the skies. We are the ones who never sleep, never sleep. We are the secrets that we keep, that we keep. Breaking through the walls of this town. Nothing's gonna bring us down. Every word you said was a lie, but I'm not gonna sit here and cry. I've got a fire burning in my soul, and I'm finally taking control. Running down the street at midnight, feeling like I'm finally alive. Every word you said was a lie. Watch me turn it into life. We are the ones who never sleep, never sleep, never sleep. We are the secrets that we keep, that we keep, that we We are the ones who never sleep, never sleep, never sleep. Running down the street at midnight. We are the secrets that we keep, that we keep, that we keep. Feeling like I'm finally alive. Breaking through the walls of this town. No more looking back at the shadows. Nothing's gonna bring us down. I'm waiting for the sun to rise. We are the ones who never sleep. Fire burning in my soul. We are the secrets that we keep, and I'm finally taking control. Nothing's gonna bring us down. Nothing's gonna bring us down.
Yeah.
Actual fuses,
Huh?
not circuit
Sorry?
breakers. Actual fuses.
Each plug. Well, there is a circuit because British rules are related to a ring circuit, unlike any and most other countries. And of course, there's a circuit breaker. But each high energy device, so the kettle I've just used, these monitors I'm using, must have a fuse incorporated into the plug.
Now I've
Which
got
should
this.
be easily removable and replaceable.
I've got this weird thing saying somebody wants to participate. I think that's somebody in here doing something.
Mr. Robot wanted
Yeah.
to participate. He raised his hand.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Well, are we still on triality?
We have passed the third thing, and we have gone into headline after midnight. So welcome everybody to the first episode of Headline After Midnight.
Okay.
Not only are we live streaming, but this is being recorded and it will be edited for later on. Everybody who's on the show, you are more than welcome to have a copy of this show. Just let me know ahead of time. I can have it edited and sent out to you, or just send you the raw video. So it's up to you.
Well, I had something to present to you guys. Maybe we could do it now. You just edit it and move it.
Let me mute out so I can go smoke a cigarette, drink some coffee. You just talk.
Okay. Well, okay,
Your
so
assignment? Talk.
I've set this entire show up because of you, V, and Mr. Robot's here. It's a freaking orgy.
well, I
I'll be
want to throw
listening. I'll be listening.
I want to throw like a monkey wrench in the whole topic and see how you guys dealt with it. So you have a male and you have a female. They come together and they have a romance, love. How does that fit into the concept of triality, in your opinions? Or does it? Or if it doesn't?
Well, you get a penis and a vagina,
Yeah, I was
and out comes the baby, which is the third
when
thing.
you've got money and a daddy.
See,
Yeah.
I wasn't even trying to take it there. See, I'm being good. But no,
I'm just saying that the third thing is the baby. That's the synthesis.
There you go. Okay. Reproduction.
This is also a metaphor that's used in occultism, and of course, it goes back to many Mediterranean religions, where you would have a mother goddess, a father god, and a child god. So you'd have Horus with Isis and Osiris, or you'd have later on the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, which is the Shekinah, which is a feminine word in Hebrew.
The Holy Spirit was supposed to have been the Holy Mother in Gnosticism. You have all the Buddhist knowledge, but I have all the Gnosticism. Yeah, you have the monad, the father, the first thought which emanated from him, which became the daughter/mother. They together produced the son, which was the ontogeny, the Christ. So yeah, it's interesting how that is echoed in many religious and philosophical traditions.
Indeed. And of course, taken up by latter-day occultists, and to be found in a lot of that sort of work.
Latter-day occultist, I like that.
Yeah,
Can
like the
I-
Latter-day Saints.
I'm going to use that. Can I use that?
Oh yeah, be my guest. Yeah.
Wow, Latter-day occultist. Wow. That's
Ooh,
phenomenal.
I hear the bells, the astral bell.
Well, so okay, reproduction, a child. I get that. So, so you have a physical manifestation, and then you have a conceptual manifestation. Whether you want to view it as emotion or God's divinity or some spiritual right, you have a bit of a duality even there. A background, a substrate, right? As Mr. Robot was talking about, you have that fundamental background, and so, but is it right? Is it wrong? Is it necessary? That's the next thing I pose to you. I mean, a lot of species on the planet, they reproduce by rape. Birds will hold each other down and just go at it. Clawed animals, same thing. They'll get the smaller female and just hold them down with their claws and go at it. And yes, you have the biological male and female, and they produce children, but there is no love between these two animals.
Well, love is something that separates us from other animals, perhaps. The behavior of a skunk or a possum is not our behavior.
Right.
And I've always been interested by that. People are always looking to the past for examples. The further back you go, the better it was. And we look to things like, how did we do it in the Elizabethan era? And how do we do it and how do bonobos live? And how do wolves live? And we're always looking further down the evolutionary chain, looking for examples. We're always looking. It's I've always been fascinated with that. And there's a certain truth to it. I noticed when I was a child, I used to watch cartoons on television. And one of the first things I noticed was that the cartoons made in the 1920s and 30s were far superior to the 1960s cartoons that they were producing. They used fewer frames per second. The drawing was less ornate. A lot of it was just recycled material, 50% new material. Whoa, doesn't make a new cartoon for a kid. And I could see, and I kept wondering, because I was always told how much better the world was and how much better it was getting. But why are the cartoons getting worse? Why were things better in the 1930s than they were in the 1960s, at least as far as cartoons go? And that's why some of us still would prefer to use a Zippo lighter or a steel-nibbed fountain pen. I have a Zippo myself. I actually do need a flint for it. I'm going to start using my Zippo more. Thank you, Mark, for encouraging me. I do
Kind of
roll my
reminds me of how we have like all the latest CGI and like flashy, modeling and whatnot for TV today, but they just keep recycling the same old things over and over again. Same cartoons. There's no new creativity coming about. That's like
I cannot think of a film that recent film that I've watched that I've actually enjoyed. I'm a big fan of the old 1950 film noir sort of.
You've got to watch Beat the Devil if you haven't seen it already.
The predecessor to Propaganda, the noir films. Propaganda. If you're not,
what's happened to plots? What's happened to good script writing recently?
Really? I don't know.
Hollywood got taken over by a bunch of Satanists, and they've got no creativity whatsoever.
Okay. I want to reel this back because Otto brings up a very excellent point. What separates us from the animals. However, there are animals within the animal kingdom
Can
who
I say
are
something?
mated pairs, for example, like swans or geese.
Before I stepped away, though, V, you mentioned something, and I know where you're going with it, and I do want to put my take on it. So that
Please.
Okay. Now, triality, when it comes to having a baby, having sex, okay?
Or even romance, maybe?
No, just sex, the sexual act, okay?
Okay.
Now, it doesn't come in the physical action, it doesn't come in the sperm making it into the egg, okay? Now, where triality fits is when consciousness is delivered to that baby. It's also when life is put into that baby when it's being created. It's actually a phenomena. They don't understand.
You really want to go down this road when consciousness goes into the baby?
That's the third element.
Well, you specifically said put into, so like, who's the person that puts it into the baby?
That's
Buddhism arrive.
This is where Buddhism comes to the rescue.
Okay.
In Buddhism, there's a couple of thoughts on this, but basically, in Buddhism, when you end one life, you're going to take on another life. In some realms, such as the human and the animal realm, this is going to be through physical birth, through an egg, or through a live birth if you're a mammal or something similar. In other realms, like the hungry ghosts, we were talking about hungry ghost realms earlier today, you simply appear, or in the Deva realms, you simply appear, and then you go again. So it's a much different kind of a arrival sort of thing.
laws were written in stone, cold equations carved alone, clockwork stars in silent space, a soulless grid with perfect face. But what if nature learns to bend? What if rules can start again? Not commands from some machine, but habits grown unseen. Memory and root and bone, padding seeded overgrown, echoes traveling through time. Not a line, but a rhyme. The universe remembers more than matter should. Every fault that ever was leaves a trace in blood. Not fixed, not sealed, not done. The laws are still becoming habits of the universe, forever humming. Mind is not a cage of bone, not confined, not alone. You feel the stare across the room before the watcher turns to you. A dawn that wakes before the key, a thought that leaps invisibly. Is thought a spark behind the eyes, or something far more wide? 10 commandments carved in steel, mechanism made to feel like the only sacred creed. But doubt is also seen. The universe remembers more than matter should. Every form not ever was leaves a trace in blood. Not fixed, not sealed, not done. The laws are still becoming habits of the universe, forever humming. If science fears a question, is it fate instead? If mystery's outlawed, who decides what's dead? Then words still resonate, ideas do not evaporate. Form, field, memory, healed, field, form, pattern, The universe remembers through leaf and look and light. Not a prison made of math, but a living appetite. What is mind is ocean wide. What if thoughts can roam? The laws we thought were written are learning how to grow. Habit, resonance, still becoming.
But when it comes to taking a birth, the orthodox Theravada idea is that the moment you die, your body dies, you, quote unquote, because anatta doctrine, we're not going to get into that right this second, the not self. But anyway, you go into another form immediately, right at the moment of conception. You enter into that. So in Buddhism, you are a living, conscious being, not necessarily reflective, recursive consciousness, but the same consciousness that an amoeba has. But you're a conscious being at the very moment of conception. Now, that being said, most Buddhist folk tradition says there is a waiting period where you take on an existence as in a ghostly realm, or perhaps an animal realm for a short time until the right birth comes along. Now, that's not according to the Abhidhamma, but it's doable within the framework of the theology. But anyway, that's the Buddhist take on that.
That's
I
cool.
do
I
believe
actually just
in
want to
the-
confirm that.
Well,
because,
go ahead.
sorry, just before you say the when I smoke DMT, I went into this place that I call the waiting room. Or the airplane hangar. It's this. It feels like there's almost infinitely massive room
I've
where
always-
you can see the
hang out.
edges, and the edges are like TV screens, and
Yeah.
each TV screen is like a different reality. And when you're in that space, you feel like you've been there thousands of times before,
And
and
see,
it felt like
There's
a waiting
familiarity
room.
to it.
can I tap
Was
in?
it,
Can I tap into that real quick? Because
Was
Mr.
it an information? Oh, go ahead.
Mr. Robot, I've been wanting to tell him this because, like, in the research I've been doing and what you've described to me that you've gone through, I believe that what you're actually experiencing there are different forms of consciousness.
Okay, wait, and let me add on to that because I know. So, and there's in the Japanese culture, I believe it's the Edo era. I may be wrong, but I believe it's the Edo era. Children, you can have a child, and depending upon your approval of that child, by the age of 6 or 7, that child is not a child until you say so. You could kill your own children anywhere from birth to the age of 6, because you're not considered human beings yet, until you have
Well,
acknowledged that they are fully sentient.
Well, infanticide has been a very, very widespread custom in most human societies, including European society, only up until like the beginning of the 18th century. They had something in China called baby wells, where an unwanted child would just be lowered into this little cave or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And so extending that to 6 years is really more of a difference in quantity rather than quality. It's not really a huge leap. I can understand that, especially in a society that might have been very, very under stress because of the military and social situation. The military virtues were important. The weakling couldn't be supported. Yada yada yada. I mean, it's not something that we would like or approve of in our society, but in that society at that time, it's not a stretch. And, we didn't really have infanticide was so widespread in Europe. I mean, when they, the first foundling kind of thing set up in Paris, they set up this thing where you could take an unwanted child and leave it off at this little hospital. They had like a revolving door so they wouldn't see who you were. They were overwhelmed. They had no idea how many babies would show up. Hundreds of babies, giving an idea of how much infanticide had been going on up until that time.
But don't you think it's fascinating that they were having the conversation back then of when sentience fully arises within a person?
I don't think that was sentient.
Discussion today.
I don't think there's any argument that a 6-year-old isn't sentient. It's not.
Right.
I think that was a bit of a
Why does sentience have to come into it? You're taking a life. Why do you try to sugarcoat it and tell yourself, well, I'm not really killing, a human. You are. You're killing a person.
Well, I mean, there's a big difference between
karmic
killing
consequence. I'm not saying it's
alive.
illegal. It could be a legal thing to do. Your society might approve of it. You might approve of it yourself. But from a Buddhist point of view, you have committed that act, and there will be karmic
And
consequences
there's
down the road.
that concept of quantity or quality over quantity. You're literally made to address the upbringing of this child, and if they do not meet the standards of what is a human being, they're gone. So
That's a tough society, but every society does have these. I mean, if you look at the initiation rituals of like primitive tribes or so-called primitive tribes,
Well, look at the Greek.
like children would die regularly in the course of this. The idea is you're trying to separate the wheat from the chaff before it's done on a battlefield, and maybe your whole village is wiped out.
and I want to apologize.
Mr. Robot is raising his hand again.
Yeah.
I want to
I
apologize
just want-
to Roger really quickly because I'm probably rearranging, derailing things.
No, it's actually, like I said, this is what this show is about. So it's actually going in the direction I expected. And with that being said, I'll let Mr. Robot go ahead. And say
Oh
something.
yes, Mr. Robot.
I just wanted to add to what you were saying before. You were talking about, it doesn't matter whether something is sentient or not, you're killing it. Well, if you're going to go down that route, you're saying that killing an individual cell, which is alive technically, is just as bad as killing a person, which I don't agree is true. Sentience is important, and because we're really coming down to like, is the thing that you're killing suffering or not, right? And it's not easy to say that an individual cell can suffer the same way a human being can that's sentient, right?
And on top of that, yeah, I mean, the way you're describing things is it's like taking a blade to your skin and cutting yourself. Are you, in fact, killing life? Because you've destroyed many of your cells doing that, but it heals. It comes back.
Now, Otto had something to say too.
Go ahead, Otto.
Well, I don't think you could argue that an individual cell is sentient, especially since the cell cannot exist in the absence of the other cells surrounding it.
Correct.
It's part of something larger.
No.
And keep in mind, too, when these ideas were being, put into words, we're talking about this. This was like 2,600 years ago. This was like the Indian Iron Age. So they weren't getting into like cellular biology and stuff. I will remember that I had a discussion about something something that might be closer to what we're talking about here, with a friend of mine who was a Buddhist monk for something like 29 years, almost 30 years, much of it spent in the jungles of Burma. And he suffered a lot from dysentery and from intestinal worms constantly. And he would take vermifuges, to kill the worms. And I said, well, you're taking life. You're killing these worms. You're not supposed to kill things. How does this work? And he said it has to do with, and this is an important point in Buddhism, it has to do with intention. And that gets back to karma.
Yes.
Karma is intention. So he is taking the medicine intending to heal himself. He's not intending to, and there's an interesting point, and this was brought up. We were in a discussion in this Buddhist group I'm in. If you are at a gun range and there's a person downrange that you want to shoot, right? And you aim the gun at him, and you load the gun and you aim it and you shoot at him, and at the same moment he slips on a banana peel. And I know someone who slipped on a banana peel recently. It does happen. And you thought you had killed him, and you immediately left the country. You went somewhere, went to the hinterlands where you never got any news, and you were convinced that you had killed this person. You still have the same karma of taking a human life, even though the guy just got up and rubbed his butt and he was fine, didn't even know he was shot at. So it has to do with intention. Karma is a mental state. It's a very odd distinction, and a lot of people are very uncomfortable with it.
Okay, well, so this stems off into you brought it here. What about the psychopaths who have no guilt whatsoever, and they can commit genocide, kill millions of people, and it's just like turning the page in a book for them?
But karma is still there.
Intention is very important too. Otto mentioned that, and that's something that you need to really cue in on. Okay, now not only in theological and philosophical, it's also philosophical. Okay, now the mind that involves the mind's directness towards something, and that it's actually referred to as intentionality. Okay. It's a specific plan for the future, or for future actions. You know what I'm saying? And this has to do with mental states, like your desires and your beliefs, with actions. Okay, it's like people who do these things, they do it because they're goal oriented. Okay, it's a goal oriented behavior rather than just a reaction.
Right.
You know what I mean? It involves mental.
No, I feel as though I'm being selfish here, talking a little bit about myself. But I am a Scorpio, so I deal in love and hate very deeply.
Well, like sociopaths, though, like you just mentioned, sociopaths. Okay.
Yes.
The one thing people never mention about sociopaths that are murderers and killers is they're very methodical.
Absolutely.
They plan these things out.
The most intelligent people, class of people who are considered the most intelligent, are murderers, the serial killers.
Or the ones they don't catch.
The ones they don't catch. Right.
Can it be justified, though?
underground, whisper what's said. They crawl through prophets, coiling the word. Truth tastes like venom, holy and blood. Underground thrones, eyes made of flame. They don't say mercy, they don't say name. I saw the crown, I felt the sting. Voices said bow, I couldn't sing. 6 wings above me, scales below. Holy fear in a burning glow. Touch my mouth, burn me clean. Call it God, call it unseen. If this is grace, I'm marked and bound, sanctified underground. Temple shaking, smoke in the air. Covered faces, nobody cares. Dragons in myth, watchers in stone. Old gods wearing heaven's throne. They say chosen, I say scarred. Every vision hits too hard. Woe is me, I've seen too much. Purified by a violent touch. 6 wings above me, scales below. Truth injected, forced to know. Holy words cut like knives, burned alive to stay alive. If this is one, why does it wound? Sanctified too soon. Coal on my lips, fire in my veins. Washed of sin but left insane. If angels bite and dragons kneel, tell me what is fake or real. 6 wings above me, scales below. No escape from what I know. Call it glory, call it sound. Heaven's claws in sacred ground. If this is God, I stand condemned, sanctified, never end.
right? Because we think of ourselves not necessarily as a serial killer when we wipe out an entire colony of ants to preserve our food, which will maybe sustain 1 or 2 of us, you know. But we killed an entire colony of ants, and we think of that as just, you know.
It's genocide.
What if an alien species thought the same of our planet and goes, oh, no, we wipe out human race, they're going to be a problem for our race later on, you know?
Right.
Where's the ethics in that, and where do we draw the line? You know?
Right.
Well, that's delusional thinking, you would call that.
Yeah.
You know,
And
What do you mean?
Delusional or delusional?
delusional thinking. Delusional thinking is the hardest to cope with because when you're deluded, you don't know it.
Uh-huh.
What
Really
part of it is
difficult.
delusional? Sorry.
What's that?
What is delusional? exactly?
Oh, well, just the idea of being free of the consequences of what you're doing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And in a sense, it's a way of surrendering power. You no longer believe that your actions make any difference,
It has
or
to
that
do
there's any reality to your actions outside of
Mhm.
yourself.
in rationality. That's another
So
thing.
it's sort of the opposite of being a solipsist. Way.
Well, see,
My
you
point was more like, the intention was good, but the effects were still, you're gonna kill something, So, we can justify killing 1,000 people. We can justify it for
Well, you
for the
want to
greater
have a
good,
different
right?
intention. You want to have a different intention, and you want to be harmless. Your intention shouldn't be, how can I wipe out these ants and make my life more comfortable, but how can I discourage the ants from being here in such a way that it does as little harm as possible to the ants? And
Okay, but you might not kill those ants straight away, but you still eliminate their food, which kills them even slower. So,
Or their freedom.
well, or gets them to migrate. I don't know. I've never had problems with ants.
it's a hypothetical, but I'm saying it's almost impossible to go throughout life without killing something.
Well, let me
Whether
tell
it's a plant
you,
or an animal, you're still killing something.
Killer
Let me
be
tell you
killed.
something I've seen at Buddhist monasteries I've stayed at. Actually, I've only ever stayed at one Buddhist monastery, but I've stayed there more than once. And I've seen this at other monasteries, talked to monks. They usually, especially in Asian countries, animals that we consider pets aren't treated well. Cats and dogs are considered vermin by a lot of people. But Buddhist monks don't treat animals badly. So my one friend would always have dogs following him around. And the one monastery I stayed at, they had a colony of semi-feral cats. And the cats lived under the back porch, and the monks would feed the cats, but otherwise didn't interact with them much. And the cats kept their distance. I've got some really nice pictures of them. I should post on Element for you, though, Raj. You can share them.
actually,
But the thing is, the cats killed the mice.
yeah,
The monks didn't intend to kill the mice. Their intention was to support the cats. So the ecosystem
Well-
kind of found a balance. Buddhism is very realistic in a lot of ways. One of the teachings in Buddhism is, one of the precepts you take is that you're going to speak the truth. However,
Okay.
that
Yep.
means that the truth has to be, what you say has to be truthful, but it also has to be timely
It has
and
to be
beneficial.
with reality as you perceive it. And so I also want to so keep bringing up Buddhism, and I want to talk about, so you have the Bhagavad Gita, where you have June talking to Krishna, and he's telling him, because Juna is having a hard time
Killing
conceptualizing
your friends, yeah.
his cousins. And Krishna is saying, this is your role in life. This is your karma.
Yeah.
This is your
Yeah.
purpose. You must kill.
That's his dhamma. That's his dharma, as they would call it.
That's dharma, right?
And that's that kind of dharma. Yeah, that is a path. That's taking on the social role. That's fulfilling your social role as a warrior, even though you're fighting your cousins and your brothers and this and that, and you're going to kill some of them, and they might kill you. This is what you have to do, and that is a path. But that is the path of householder duty. It's not the path of enlightenment. And again, I'm not to say that one is preferable to another. That's up to you. And they both have their good and bad. All karma is mixed. I have a friend of mine who's a hunter. He's very interested in Buddhism, but he also hunts. He
Right.
kills animals to feed his family. And I said, well, at least the way I interpret it, and this is all Navakavada Buddhism, this isn't mainstream Theravada. He's killing an animal, yes, but he's also feeding his family. So the karma is mixed. He has the karma of taking a life, but he also has the karma of sustaining lives.
Do we take the path of our nature, or to forsake everything in the world and reach that external enlightenment?
Well, it's up to the
That's
individual.
two paths here. We're talking
If you're-
dualism, we're talking
Not
what is going to come of it. We're still on topic here.
not everyone wants to take the path. Not everybody is ready to hear it, or if they hear it, are going to listen to it and want to pursue it. They might not have the circumstances in their lives that allow it. That's their karma.
now
that-
I have some questions for you guys. I want your honest answer.
Yeah.
I want all of you, even Mark Edworthy, since he's not answering you're talking, I want you guys to give me your take on these 3 questions.
Okay.
Okay, I've done this to you guys before. B and Otto knows what this is about, but I want Robot involved and Mr. Edworthy. Sound good, guys?
Okay. Carry on.
Since you haven't talked, I want you to answer first, okay? How does intention relate to desire and beliefs?
In what sense?
Just from what you heard me say right there. What does
Intention.
intention
Fire are two sides of the same coin.
how does intention relate to desire and belief?
You have the want.
Hold up. This is Mark
Oh.
Edworthy.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Don't let him slide.
Yeah, he'll duck out if he has a chance.
Yeah,
You want something, therefore you intend to have it.
to
You
desires.
desire something, therefore you intend to have it.
Okay, so Mr. Robot, what do you think?
Yeah, I think they possibly feed into each other in sort of like a feedback loop where if you intend to have something, you get it or you don't get it, which feeds back into whether you want it or not, right?
Mhm.
So it goes both ways, I would say.
Okay, so what about you, Otto?
Intention, desire, and what was the other?
How does intention relate to desire and beliefs?
Well, intention is really what it's all about. We usually allow our desires to shape our intentions and our beliefs, but this isn't always the best place to do this from. My own take would be, and I'm not going to bore everybody by saying it's Buddhist, but your intentions, you should try to develop the most skillful intentions you can. You intend to be harmless as you can be. You intend to be as skillful as you can be so that you can have the best outcome you can have. And so this should hopefully shape your desires. You can have this intention and you can intend to do these things, and you should find joy in this and find a desire. And you can believe, although I like the word confidence better. You can have confidence that the people who have shown you and talked about this path have followed it themselves. And you can have confidence in the fact that as you follow the path yourself, you get the same results that they report. And as long as you're getting good results, you might as well continue and see if the other good results others have reported are equally true. So I think that our desires and our beliefs should be shaped by our intentions if we can, because our intentions are what we have more control over, and control is the name of the game here. Otherwise, we're just pummeled and buffeted. I mean, Aristotle said that, and this has been echoed by a lot of people, that you can. There are some people who, if you give them all the wealth and power in the world, they are still slaves, and there are some people you can load them with chains, and they will always be free.
Yes.
Because freedom really is freedom from these things that would otherwise control us.
I could have said it better myself. That
Yeah,
was
we
the
wanna-
thing in the world.
So
I
you want to skip your turn? Is that what you're saying?
That was no. Well, I want to add on, but
Go.
the thing is, again, I say it's a coin. This is two sides of the same coin. Control is where we exert, as Otto was saying.
Hold up. Let me repeat the question I'm asking you so that you get the sentence again.
Okay.
How does intention relate to desire and beliefs?
Again, it's two sides of the same coin, because intention so there's the argument of the egg and the chicken, right? For some people, that's I can tell you right now, the egg came first because you have evolution that creates a new type of being.
and floating everywhere. Not coded, only strand by strand, but shaped by some remembering hand. The past leans forward into now and whispers how. Patterns ripple, never die. Forms repeat, though none know why. Across the species, cell to cell, a story field can tell. Resonance, invisible thread, living memory of the dead. Every habit once began echoes under moon and sun. Nature learns what nature does. Law becomes what habit was. You say the mind is locked in bone, neurons firing all alone, but thought spills past the skull's design through gesture, rhythm, space, and sign. Why do eyes feel when they're seen? Why do pets way in between the turning key and opening door? Has it seen you before? See no not to wire wave, but something subtler we misname. Perhaps the mind is not contained, just like flame. Resonance, invisible thread, memory when thoughts are spread. None is sparked behind the eyes, but feels where consciousness replies. Not confined to flesh alone. The mind may Ten dogmas carved in modern stone, declared as facts not overthrown. Matter first and meaning last, future locked inside the past. But if assumptions wear a crown, does curiosity bow down when doubt is fenced and questions barred? Is science still? Ideas that still circulate, restriction does not silence face. When guardians of truth decree what may or may not inquiry be, the question lingers in the air.
that would come out of the egg, the chicken or the lizard. So I can tell you that a lot of people don't use critical thinking and understand the riddle. However, that chicken can go right back to where it came from and just become that egg and become that lizard again.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all on that the control. Do you control your?
So is the chicken the intention, or is it the? I don't understand what the chicken is in this metaphor. Is it the intention, or is it the action?
So
It's going to be Lamarckism here soon.
you
Okay.
can either control the intention or you can control the desire.
Okay, so
Comes with, I mean, again, this desire, and it's one of these things, and I'm pretty sure Otto can word this better than I can, but the desire is the proto thought, and the intention is the manifestation of the conviction of that thought that leads to action.
okay, so I'm gonna have you start with the second question because that's what this leads into. I'm gonna ask you this, and I'm gonna go around and have everybody do this one too. We got three
Wait,
questions.
can I just respond before we go on to the next one?
Trust me, you'll know that this is gonna lead into what you're about to say. I can guarantee it. Okay, so trust me on this. This is the second question. What is the difference between intending to do something and actually doing it intentionally?
Has anybody ever heard of procrastination?
What is the difference between intending to do something and actually doing it intentionally? Like you intentionally mean to do something.
The action, the actual physical action.
So are we planning
Correct.
or completing goals?
No, what is the difference between intending to do something and actually doing it intentionally?
When you intend to do something, you haven't done it yet, right? And when you're doing something intentionally, you've decided to do it and you're doing it. So one is physical, one is not.
Choice, manifestation. It's sort of how we discussed timelines and time in itself, relativity. It's whether you have not done it to the point in your life where you have done it. And so it's that string of consciousness, of existence. You can be in the beginning, but in the end, you have done something. So there's no difference because you have done it already, just not in time yet.
That's good.
Right?
Now, Otto, since these loud mouths have all said
I
stuff,
want to hear Otto. Yeah.
it's up to you. We gotta hear
Now, the
you.
difference between intending to act and acting intentionally.
Yes.
Well, let's take a look at the words we're using. An intention obviously is something that hasn't been done yet. So it's the thought of an act, and it's karma in its way because karma is intention. But when we actually act intentionally, that to me means that we're paying attention to our act. We're not acting blindly or through rote, but actually being fully aware and intent upon our action. So to me, it's kind of apples and oranges. The intention to act is important, but the act itself should be brought attention. It should be, you should perform the act with intent. You should be aware of it. So,
And another way I would say it is conscious action.
It's your turn anyhow.
Versus
So
subconscious action.
it's your
yeah,
turn.
be conscious. Yeah.
It's your turn
I
anyhow.
would.
Go.
I would say when someone has like a fearful reaction to something, it is a subconscious reaction. While when you analyze that fear and you realize there's a different way you can consciously act in that circumstance, you're acting intentionally, and you no longer need to experience the fear because you know what you want to do in that circumstance, and you can
As they say in
choose what.
Dune, fear is the mind killer.
Now,
Yeah.
just so we can get the draft dodger freaking so before he decides to bail out, I want to hear from Mark Edworthy because he's way too damn quiet, dude.
It's a draft.
I don't think I've said that. I think
he's just gonna-
all-
Dude, you're
He's
gonna like,
plotting,
He's like-
and scheming.
he's planning on ducking out sometime. Like, I could get the hell out of here. He hasn't said nothing. So what's your take on this? Because we've got one more question, and this is the clincher. So
I
what's your
think
take?
we've already agreed on it. The actual manifestation of the action.
Okay. So
I
now,
don't think it's overly complicated. If you intended to do something, then
okay, good.
if you haven't done it, then the action hasn't been taken.
So far I've heard chicken, which came first, chicken and the egg, and then apples and oranges. Now the third one is the clincher. This is the one that's going to get you, and it's going to start with you, Mark Edward, because we're going back the other way again. Can we have unconscious intentions?
Is intention not a conscious thing?
Unconscious, or you're unaware of it.
I'm asking you the question: is an intention not a conscious thing?
No, the question's for you, Mark. You decide. We wanna know
You get
your
the
perspective.
right. Can we have unconscious intentions?
Suppose you could. I suppose you could actually. I don't know. That's a difficult one.
How about you, Mr. Robot?
I'll give you an example. See, when Mark was asking me whether I've dealt with DNS configurations before, see, Mark secretly hates me, right? And he wanted to insult me. But he's in denial of that fact. And so he convinced himself that his intentions were pure, but subconsciously he just wanted to insult me in public.
Not true.
I love you guys. I swear to God, I do. I love you guys to death. Okay, so with that being said, we go to Otto because I know we're going to hear some good stuff here.
Well, I think that we have to think in terms of what the unconscious is, and I think there's an unfortunate tendency to think of it as like this lower layer. But really, the unconscious is spread throughout our thinking. We're very unconscious of a lot of the stuff we do. And as many people have pointed out, we are not one, we are many. There are many different people inside of us that take charge.